So I started working for Tesla as a manufacturing engineering. I worked in material handling group, but I started in 2014 and I left in 2018. And I did lots of mechanical engineering, mostly for moving parts around the plant. I started before Model X launch and worked heavily on that, and then I worked through conceptual phase of Model 3 all the way to really the start of heavy production of Model 3.
Was the production process of the Model 3, was it radically different from the X and the S prior?
The Model 3, we were going to build it traditional sort of auto manufacturer style. And then there were a lot more constraints that were decided to be put on us. Like we needed to fit inside the facility, we needed to use less space, and we needed to come up with a new sort of concept. And basically what that ended up being is we ended up elevating the manufacturing line above the floor, so we could move things.
That was cool.
There's lots of other discussions about how would you compact the line, and a lot of that actually got pushed back to the design team to reduce complexity of the car. Once you decide that you're going to build the vehicle, you would start in body in white, and that's where you're welding the body together, the hang-ons to the doors and all the closures as well. From there, that's a relatively quick process. I wasn't heavily involved with Model 3 on that, but that's in the order of hours. It's not days or anything like that. It's in the order of probably 5 or 6 hours for when your vehicle's going to start at the beginning in the body in white and go to the end. It's a very, very quick process.
Wow.
It's almost entirely automated. There's people putting parts into fixtures and things like that, but robots are installing everything, and you've got a bunch of robots in there and they're just doing this choreographed dance. So everything goes well, right? There's no stoppages or anything like that. That's on the order of hours. And then after that, you have a car body, and you have some doors and a trunk. Then the vehicle goes in through paint. Paint is a little bit longer process, but the painting, so you dip it in a bunch of chemical baths. You do undercoating, which is e-coat, and a couple of things like that. You build up the thickness of your paint undercoat, and then you do the paint on top, which is what you see in whatever thinks about paint. But that's a little bit longer process. You're dipping the car, you're waiting for it to dry and drip and things like that. So I think that Model 3, I don't really remember. I don't say it's like 8 to 12 hours.
That's from start to
finish, and that involves like a little bit of cure time. So the paint is like touch safe, right? You're not going to want to rub on it or anything like that. It's not fully cured at that point, but it's enough to go through the line where you don't have, you wear covers on your watches and rings, and there's no metal on the assembly line. At least it's not supposed to be.
So so Lewis wants to know, so how long do those take in comparison to Model S, typical Model S?
So back when I was there, it was about 6 hours, I want to say, for Model S body. Model X was longer. It was like probably about 9 hours, I want to say. The Model X was a much more complex assembly. Yeah, it also had a different underneath pan. There was a lot more. It also used nails and a couple other really cool fastening type things. But they took a long time. It was just a really long line. It was probably like 3 times longer than the Model S line in terms of like length and pitch count. It was really big. So the Model X, it was faster. Like the vehicles went through the line faster. It's just a lot longer. So I want to say there was about 9 hours. And then paint is basically the same for almost all of them.
I would imagine they do it in batches. Like they say, okay, we've got 40 cars queued up, or 40 assemblies queued up. We want them all white, and we're just going to spray everything white, and then we're going to shift the color to blue or to black or whatever the next color scheme is.
You can change colors dynamically.
Really?
So most of auto manufacturing has wanted that for a long time, and so it's very easy to change over color.
I like how he says it's very easy.
most of the it's a solved problem. Most of the paint it's not paint like you would paint your wall or even really spray paint. It's electrically charged. It's wet. It's got wetness in there, so it's smooth when it is applied, but it doesn't. You don't spray it on. It's not wet like water.
It's
or anything like that.
Is what you're saying.
You charge the car, and the paint is charged, and it gets pulled to the car. So think of it like a dust cloud. It's paint and it's wet, but think of it more like a dust cloud, and you're sucking the dust on there, and then what you do is you just blow out all the color and you go to a new color. It's not a lot of mess or drip or anything like that.
Interesting.
Wow.
So actually it hits the car and collects. It might drip a little bit, but the paint itself is just really, really tiny aerosolized particles that don't collect or or smear or anything like that. You also can't change over any color to any color. So you can't go from like red to white because
You get pink.
you'll get a pink car. That's pretty common in lots of industrial processes, right? You can do lots of the changeovers. But what you can do is you can go from red to black or red to gray and then gray to white. So there's not an unlimited switching, but you can switch between every car.
What about things like, there's a whole thing about people saying, oh, if you get 21-inch wheels versus 19-inch wheels, it'll change when you get your car because they do them in different batches. And the only thing I can think of for that is maybe supply chain, because I can't imagine that has any impact on running the line.
Yeah, I agree.
I happen to know a lot about wheels, at least what the status was in 2018 for Model 3. And that is, it's production planning. So when they decide what car to get built, they decide that after it's been painted. So like your car doesn't get a VIN number until it's after it's been painted. It doesn't get assigned to a person until after it's painted. I know they don't assign out VIN numbers. I don't think they do that the same way they used to. But when it goes to general assembly, when they would make that queue for general assembly, there was not enough time the wheels are assembled off site. So the tire rim is balanced off site and they're shipped to the site. That takes longer than the car gets to the wheels, which is one of the last stations in line. So what they would do is, because of, hey, we're going to, do VIN number 10, but when VIN number 10 has 21-inch wheels, they can't order the wheels at that point after they've already assigned the VIN. And that's production planning. That was I was on wheels. It made my life really difficult for them to do that. I fought very hard for them to say, why don't we have a 12-hour queue before GA and we just solve the problem easily. We don't need 12 hours. We need like less, but that would make everything really easy. But that's the reason. And so there's the ability to have two different types of wheels get sequenced to the line, or at least when I left, there was the ability to have two different types of wheels sequenced to the line. There was a project where we would fix or be able to sequence in facility, but that I left with that, getting funding at that point.
So when Tesla showed us the Model 3 at the reveal, the ones that they showed were not the ones that were on the cars when they first released, but they came later because I have them now. So is there a reason why they didn't do that type of wheel design?
So that was planned. I was planned a long time out. So there were a huge collection of tire rim combinations. European tires are different than American tires. They don't do the low rolling resistance the same way we do. They have much softer, stickier tires as their sort of base tires. But the wheel tire, I don't really know why, but the original, it was planned for quite some time to have the two wheels, the black wheels with the wheel covers, which look way better without the wheel covers, and then the silver 19-inch wheels. That was the plan for a long time with no tire choice. I happen to know that the only reason why performance tires got pushed to the front of the line was because Elon tweeted it, and I heard about it like 4 hours later. It's like, JT, we have to sequence 3 tires to the line now. I'm like, well, I designed for those 2, and then we have the project to do all the rest of them later when we add European production, which was the original plan.